Welcome back to the beginner guitar lesson series. In this video, we're going to be looking at scales. We're going to start with a C major scale. I'm sure everyone's heard this scale at some point in their life. That's what it sounds like. You might know it as like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So the major scale, if you remember from our chord video, major things sound happy, minor things sound sad. So the major scale, that sounds happy, right? And then the minor scale will sound sad, but this one sounds happy. So what makes a major scale? All the notes are a certain length away, right? So we can't just play anything and call it a major scale. That's not a major scale. That's actually a chromatic scale. The major scale, the notes need to be a certain distance apart for each of the spaces, right? And then that'll sound like a major scale. So let me talk about the spacing a little bit. We start with the root note, which in this case is a C. And then we go up like C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So rather than starting from A, B, C, we start from C, D, E. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Just like that. So when we're moving from our C to a D, we would jump 2 frets, which they call that 2 semitones or a whole tone. So C to D is 1 whole tone. We moved 2 frets up. 1, 2, right? So that's a whole step. So from D to E, it's another whole step. From E to F, it's not a whole step. It is a half step. So we only move up 1 fret. So E, F. Then from F to G, it's a whole step. So we move up another 3 frets. F, G. From G to A, it's another whole step. So G, A to B, it's another whole step. A, B. From B to C, it is a half step. B, C. So I hope you see that. It's whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. So for the most part, our major scale seems to look like mostly whole steps, right? So you just want to watch out for that spot where they have the half step. So right here. And you want to listen. You want to hear what's the sound of the major scale. Major scale, right? Once we know the major scale, what can we do with this, right? Well, major scales are going to provide the baseline for knowing where all the notes are. So if you know your C is here, you know your D is here, you know your E is here, you know your F is here, you know your G is here, you know your A is here, B is here, and C is here. If you know that, even if you just have to listen around, you can find all the notes on the fretboard. For example, if somebody said to me, find a G on the B string, I don't know where that is off the top of my head, but I can find it. So I know a G is like, so C, D, E, F, G. So I have a G here, right? So like that's a G, right? G. And I want to find where that is on the B string, say. I would just listen for this note. Notice they're the same, but this one's higher. That is called an octave. So when a note is higher up, that is an octave up. When it's lower, that is an octave down. So this is my G, right? I can play the same note but higher. That's a higher octave. Or I could play the same note and lower. And that's an octave lower. Now there's tricks for finding where octaves are, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So if somebody said, find me where B is on, say, the E string, I would, okay, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, B. Listen for that. B. We're listening for that. B. That's not it. That sounds good, but that's not a B. That's not a B. This is what a B is. It should sound like B. B. So we need to find that still. So we're messing around. B, B. Oh, that one sounds right, right? We found it. We found our B note. And it happened to be here. So like if somebody's like saying, we're playing B minor blues, you say, okay, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. And you say, oh, B, B. Oh, here it is. And then you know your B and you can do your pentatonic thing. But I haven't taught that quite yet. So you know where B is. That's how you find notes. And then once you know that a B is there, then you can apply a scale, which we will learn some as we go on. Let's now start by learning the C major scale so that you can listen and apply it. And we're going to learn this across some of the strings so you'll be able to play it a little better. So a C, something you should know is on the A string, 3rd fret is a C. It'll always be there as long as you're in tune. So over here on the 3rd fret, A string / 5th string, we have a C. So from there we play C, move our pinky up to the 5th fret, that's our D, index finger to the 4th string on the 2nd fret. So let's recap, we have C, pinky over here, D, index over here, E. Next move on to an F, which is our middle finger on the 3rd fret, 4th string. So we'll recap again. We have C, D, E, F. From F, we'll use our pinky to hit the 5th fret on the 4th string. Use the index again on the 3rd string, 2nd fret. So let's recap that. C, D, E, F, G, A. Next we'll have B. So that will be on the 3rd string, 4th fret, and you'll fret that with your third finger. And then finally we use the pinky to hit the last C, which is the 5th fret of the 3rd string. And now we've formed an octave like I talked about. We have a high C and a low C. You can hear they're the same note, right? And that's how you know it's an octave. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And we can do the scale down as well. Okay, so now that we've learned the C major scale, we have that, but we haven't really focused on the picking hand technique. Now you could just use all downstrokes or all upstrokes, but that's not a very efficient way to be playing, so I'm going to teach you a technique that combines using both downstrokes and upstrokes, and this is called alternate picking. So in alternate picking, as the name implies, we alternate between downstrokes and upstrokes. Now what I want you to focus on when you're doing this is when you're picking back and forth, try not to use so much your arm, try to use more your fingers. This will help you develop good habits, so when you want to play fast, you'll be able to play a lot faster because you're not going to be moving as much. It'll be much more efficient. So starting with that C major scale, we would start with a downstroke and then follow up with an upstroke. Now notice when I do that, my pick is not really leaving the string very far. It's not leaving more than literally a couple millimeters to the side. And that's how I can play it fast. So when you're doing it, try not to move it like crazy amounts. That's going to slow you down. Try to stay as close to the string as possible when you leave. So go down, up, down, up. And you can even just practice. practice strumming that until you can get pretty fast at it. Let's move on to the rest of the scale. So what happens when we skip a string? Just what you think. You still follow through, you still pick. If you went down, up, then you're gonna follow up with another down. So we go down, up, down, and then just continue it through. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. And so it's gonna take a little bit of practice because it's gonna feel a little bit awkward at first, but really try to practice this so you can get that clean, full alternate picking. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I've exaggerated it a little bit so you can see it a little better. Notice that my hand is just like going back and forth like that. There are techniques where you don't use alternate picking, but they're a little bit advanced for this, so for now just stick with that alternate picking. And once you get good at this, you can start practice running it up and down, just like I did, running up and down the scale. Messed up a little bit, but you get the idea. You can play it really fast, and as you practice it, you'll get it cleaner and you'll be able to get it faster. So let's continue with the lesson. Cool thing about a scale though, is if you have a major melody in the key of C, like now I'm going to loop this and I'll show you what we can do with the major scale. So I recorded that loop, and now we can like So I showed you what we could do with the major scale, and all the scales kind of apply like this. If you know you're playing in a specific key, you can apply a scale for that key and learn it. But that's why ear training is so important. For now, focus on learning your major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Once you learn that, you're going to be getting on your way to learning how to train your ear. These scales can be really, really powerful. And once we learn more of them, we'll be able to play more stuff. I will teach you an extension now. We started at the 3rd fret, right? You can actually add one more note here, which is a B. So like C, D, E, F, G. If you go down from C, you get what? C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, right? So going down one would get you a B. So that kind of extends our scale, right? We can put a couple more too, so from here we can actually go to the 3rd fret on the 2nd string and hit another D note. And then another one, we can step up to the 5th fret on the 2nd string. And then from there, we can hit the 6th fret on the 2nd string. And then the 3rd fret on the 1st string. And then the 5th fret on the 1st string. And so on and so on and so forth. So you, by listening with your ear, you can find this scale and just continue it. So like, oops. See, notice I was listening and I heard that that didn't sound right. So I can go back and fix it. Now I know how to do that because I've learned where some of these scales are, but using your ear, you too can listen and find where the scale continues. Now, what I was just playing there, I'll actually tell you, some of that I didn't know that I was necessarily in a C major scale. I just listened, So like when I was here, I know where I am. As soon as I stepped here, I don't know where I am because I didn't memorize all the shapes. But I can listen. And so that just really goes to show you the level you can develop your ear to and how important it is for you to use your ear. So that's what I'll leave you with, this C major scale. And then you can play around with some of the chords that you've learned before. And you can even mess around with those and see which ones sound good with your C major scale. I'll give you a quick list. Actually, right now, what'll sound good is C, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and then don't worry about B. That's something else that we'll talk about later. Mess around with those chords, mess around with this. Listen for the melodies and develop your ear. Hope to see you in the next video.